Hello darlings! Welcome back to another video tutorial brought to you by Atelier Nijaja. For today, I'll show you how I construct this new kind of pocket making technique that has actually become my favorite. I like that it looks neat and less bulky on my doll clothes. In fact, I have used it in a lot of my previous designs, whether in this pair of culottes, shorts, and even in my long pants, like this recent wide leg trousers at my Etsy shop. Maybe I'll use it in skirts in the future too, right? What do you guys think? You can find a list of the tools and materials I used in this project below in the description box. This piece was hand sewn, so we only need the very basic sewing tools. The fabric I chose is this fun banana print, which is made from woven cotton material. I like that it gives a solid form to this pair of trouser shorts. Also, I will just be mentioning the anti-fray solution I use since I forgot to include that in this clip, but I'll show you how to make a DIY of it in a minute. Alright, now that all the preparation is done, we're ready to go. We're kicking off the session with our pattern. Now I'm putting tape on the edges before I cut each of them. Making sure my patterns are properly set is so important to me as I use them a lot. This way they are sturdier and will last longer even with repetitive use. I cut the patterns in groups out from the pages first before I carefully get into the curvy areas. This waistband piece here is, by the way, just a reference. We'll be doing the actual measuring ourselves on the fabric using the measurements I suggested here. Here I'm cutting the fabric piece for the waistband. I'll be using my trusty ruler to get my measurements laid out clearly onto the wrong side of the fabric. Then we continue with the rest of the pattern pieces. When tracing Atelier Nijaja patterns, always be setting a space for your seam allowance since this pattern set, like most of my pattern sets, is cut to the very shape of the pattern. I am eyeballing my seam allowance to be about 0.5 centimeters because that's what I am comfortable working with, but you can also choose the thickness that is easier for you. I'm using here a regular pencil, maybe this is an HB or perhaps a 2B, but just use something that is not too dark if you're using a fabric that is as light as this one I'm using. This is so your markings don't show or bleed on the right side of your fabric. Now that we're done tracing the front panels, let's go ahead and do the back panels. I'm putting my snap holder on this side because I like to close the center back from the left hand side. I'm just marking the back panels here with letter B so it's easier to distinguish from the front panels. Sometimes they look the same or they're shaped the same, similar. So yeah, that's just to distinguish it. Now we are moving on to the pockets. As always, make way for your surrounding seam allowance. Mark if needed, like I do here. For our pockets, we'll need 2 pairs of mirrored copies. Now that we have traced all the pattern pieces, we are next doing an extra step to keep our cut edges from fraying. We'll be applying an anti-fray solution on the edges of our seam allowance. Let's first put a clean barrier under our fabric. This notebook will do. Using a paintbrush, we apply on the fabric this DIY anti-fray solution, which is just a mixture of water and white glue. When adding water, you will just aim for the mix to be easy to spread enough on your fabric. I usually go for a milky consistency, which is about 2/3 water and 1/3 glue. I will share a link below of the glue brand I used, but basically it's something that's used for fabric, wood, and other porous materials. I got it from my local hardware shop, so yours probably carries something similar. When spreading your solution, spread thinly and stay away from the seam lines, as the mixture sometimes leaves noticeable dried up trace and you don't want them seen on your final garment. Now let's have this fabric dried up, and once dry, we can get to the cutting part. And I think this is already dry, so let's grab our scissors. Again, I'm eyeballing my seam allowance to be around 5 to 6 millimeters thick, or around 1/4 of an inch. You can also mark first before cutting to make sure. Alright, our fabric pieces are ready. For you guys working on the trousers, your cut fabrics should pretty much look like this too. So on our next video, we stitch together the fabric pieces. Thanks so much for watching and see you in the next one. Bye!